This is the Lonestar Throwdown fishing tournament. Drop-in was at 6 a.m., lines in at 6:30. This is my second tournament. Decided to drop in at the spot that I camped at last year. Felt like I was more familiar with it. I didn't have any practice in, so felt like that was the most suitable for me as we're dropping in when it's dark. So I kind of know where to navigate myself around the water. I started off throwing a walking bait and a popper. If I saw any rocks, I also tossed around a crankbait. Just trying to get a bite. After about an hour, the crankbait and walking bait not working, I continued throwing the walking bait as I knew it'd only be about an hour before the bait wouldn't work anymore, just because the sun would be out. I had one combo that wasn't working for me. I just had a lot of backlash on it, and that's what happens when you don't have practice in. This is one of the crazier bites that I've had of the year. Just not really paying attention, trying to adjust my reel, and sure enough, I got a bite just on that pause, long pause. I was able to get the fish to measure at 13.25, which was a great start. I think at this point it's about 7:30 a.m. in the morning, so plenty of time to fish throughout the day. Feeling pretty good right now. Confidence is high. Continue to throw the walking bait in the same area. So after about 30 to 45 minutes, I decided it's time to switch spots and try different area of the lake. So I ended up going back towards the back end of a cove behind some docks and just fished the jerkbait and crankbait. Just back and forth, trying to get a reaction bite. I also threw some top water in there, really just to see what kind of bite we were going to get today. And I thought maybe the bite would pick up in the afternoon, but overall it was a pretty tough day to start. So here we are again, another hour and a half has gone by, and haven't had a fish bite for quite some time. So the area that I'm fishing is primarily pretty deep. It's about 60 to 80 feet deep, and not really something I'm really comfortable fishing. Decided it was time to move spots. I took a risk and ended up pedaling about, gosh, it was probably a 30 to 45 minute pedal to another spot that I saw that had a pretty good cove with some docks. So ended up going to that area, threw around the crankbait as well. By this point, I've probably switched out 4 or 5 different crankbaits, square bills and mid-depth divers, about 10 to 12 feet, trying to get something to bite. While doing that, I'm also throwing a little Texas rig crawl and just trying to slowly start to drag it towards me, and they just wouldn't want to bite anything I threw at them. So continued fishing back end of coves, and at this point right here, I tossed super shallow, and this is one of the bites I've had after about 3.5 hours on the water without a single bite. Had a fish on for a split second and then just broke off. I guess he never really took it. It might have been either too small or just the hook set timing wasn't there. So continued fishing some more docks. Tried this area for about another 20 minutes, and I had to make another decision, and that was either to keep fishing this area or make a move back to the spot that I originally dropped in at, which was about 30-45 minutes from my spot that I'm at right now. So I ended up doing another 30-45 minute pedal back to the spot that I dropped in at, fished some more docks a little bit deeper, and I ended up tying on a jig. It was a green pumpkin jig. Really the only one I had in this color and in this size. It was more of a finesse one. I tossed it under a brush pile right by some docks, real shallow water. Had one of the biggest fish I had on. I could just see my line move to the left, and that's when I knew I just had to set the hook.
What the heck just happened?
As soon as I set it, had it on for a split second, maybe 2 to 3 seconds, and then all of a sudden my line snapped.
That was a huge one.
I saw the fish, and I'd say it was easily over 19 inches, if not more. But, so at this point in the day, it's about nearly 2 o'clock. I'm pretty frustrated, just not really finding anything. Bass aren't biting, the wind's starting to pick up. The main body of water is pretty much out of question, as pleasure boaters are out, jet skiers. I mean, I'm pretty much limited to just docks and docks only, and maybe a few back pocket coves, and so tossing around anything, just a Ned rig. And you know, if anytime you throw on a Ned rig, you've kind of given up on anything big biting, at least in my case, in my experience. So tie on a Ned rig, slowly start dragging it for another 20 to 30 minutes, and at this point I'm just kind of tired. I've pedaled myself all around the lake, I'm exhausted, fish are starting biting. Decided to head back towards the launch and hope for maybe 1 or 2 just to pop out of nowhere. It didn't happen, so I ended up calling it a little early. I ended up getting off the water about 2:30. Just wasn't my day, and just figured I'd load up, start tearing down camp, and go to the awards ceremony. So still a great event, still fun. I'll be back next year doing the Lonestar Throwdown. Lots of great prizes, great event that the sponsors and everyone that puts this event on. Had a lot of fun with my cousin Duran, who was with me. We just weren't on them today. I think everyone pretty much that went to this event had a tough day on the water. I think there was maybe 10 to 15 people that caught a limit, and there was more than 20 people that skunked, didn't catch a single fish. And there was a lot of anglers out there that only caught 1 bass, just like myself. So really tough day. I think if I had to redo it again, I think if I would have just thrown maybe a jig or a worm, a Cinco, and just slowly just drag it towards me, I think I would have got more bites and maybe more fish in the water. I was hoping for a reaction type bite. I was thinking that the cooler temperatures, cooler weather would have these fish ready to feed, ready to eat for this fall. But it's fall weather, but I think I was a little too early on it. I think the summer bite was still there. I think really they were still biting what they were biting in the summertime. Overall, it was a real fun event. I had a lot of fun. This was my cousin Duran's first tournament. He caught 1 bass as well, and it was a smallmouth, which is really cool on PK. So if you like the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and y'all stay tuned for the next one.